Iran is already bleeding, locked in a ferocious war with Israel and the US. And now, thousands of miles from the front lines, in waters nobody was watching, the war has followed them. A warship gone, 100 sailors missing. This is no longer just a regional war. This is everywhere. A major maritime emergency has unfolded in the Indian Ocean after an Iranian naval vessel was reportedly attacked off the southern coast of Sri Lanka, leaving more than 100 people missing and dozens injured. According to reports citing Sri Lankan defense and navy sources, the Iranian warship was struck near Sri Lanka's southern coastline on March 4th. The vessel later sank after issuing a distress call, triggering a large-scale search and rescue operation in waters near the city of Galle. Initial reports suggest that the ship may have been targeted by a submarine. At least 101 crew members are reported missing, while around 78 others were wounded in the incident. The island's navy has recovered several bodies believed to belong to crew members of the Iranian warship. The ship involved has been widely identified as the Iranian Navy frigate IRIS Dena, a domestically built warship that had recently participated in international naval events in the Indian Ocean region. Reports indicate the vessel was returning after taking part in the International Fleet Review and the multinational exercise Milan held in India's Visakhapatnam. Sri Lanka responded quickly after receiving the distress signal.
We responded to a distress call and launched rescue operations.
Authorities say dozens of survivors have already been rescued, though the exact numbers remain unclear as search efforts continue in rough seas. Sri Lankan defense officials confirmed that several of the injured were taken to the Karapitiya Teaching Hospital in Galle, where they are receiving medical treatment for blast injuries and exhaustion after hours in the water. However, there are conflicting accounts about the scale of the casualties. While some reports suggest over 100 sailors are missing, a Sri Lankan Navy spokesperson has disputed those figures, saying that rescue teams are still assessing the situation and verifying the number of people on board. The identity of the submarine believed to be involved in the attack remains unknown, and officials have not yet publicly assigned responsibility. Investigators are now examining whether the strike was connected to the broader regional conflict that has escalated sharply in recent days. The sinking of the IRIS Dena would mark one of the most significant naval losses for Iran in recent years. The warship, part of Iran's Mauj-class fleet, was designed for multi-role operations and typically carried around 140 to 180 personnel, depending on mission requirements. For now, the priority remains the search for survivors. Sri Lankan naval units, supported by aircraft, continue to comb the waters south of the island as authorities attempt to determine exactly what happened in the Indian Ocean. With tensions already rising across the Middle East and beyond, the mysterious attack has added another dangerous dimension to an already volatile geopolitical crisis. The widening conflict in the Middle East has spilled over into international waters, with rising risks to commercial shipping and strategic maritime routes. On March 2, 2026, a US-flagged oil products tanker, the Stena Imperative, was struck by two unknown projectiles while berthed at the port of Bahrain in the Persian Gulf, causing a fire that was later extinguished. All crew members were reported safe and successfully evacuated, according to maritime security sources. The event marks the first known attack on a US-flagged vessel since the recent US-Israeli military strikes on Iran triggered a wave of retaliatory action by Tehran. This incident comes amid a broader escalation of maritime attacks linked to the ongoing US-Iran conflict, which has disrupted shipping across the Strait of Hormuz and neighboring waters. Iran's response to Allied airstrikes has reportedly put merchant vessels at risk of collateral damage. At least 3 other tankers were damaged off the Gulf Coast, including vessels hit by projectiles near Oman's Musandam Peninsula and off the United Arab Emirates coast, in attacks that reflect the deepening volatility of one of the world's most vital shipping corridors. Shipping associations and analysts warn that the security risk for vessels operating in the Persian Gulf and adjacent waters has surged dramatically since Iran began its retaliation following US and Israeli operations. Industry voices have emphasized the unpredictable threat environment.
Ships with business connections to US or Israeli interests are more likely to be targeted, but other ships may also be targeted deliberately or in error.
Beyond direct hits, analysts highlight other risks, including possible mines and drone strikes, making the Strait one of the most perilous maritime zones in recent memory. The US Maritime Administration has issued advisories recommending that US-flagged and US-linked vessels maintain a safe standoff from military vessels and avoid the area where possible, as even misidentification in a volatile theatre could have grave consequences. The attacks have broader implications for global energy markets. With the Strait of Hormuz accounting for roughly 20% of global oil shipments, insurance premiums for war risk coverage are expected to soar, and shipping routes may be altered to avoid the Gulf entirely, with longer and costlier alternatives, such as around the Cape of Good Hope, increasingly considered.
Any US-flagged, owned or crewed commercial vessels that are operating in these areas should maintain a standoff of 30 nautical miles from US military vessels to reduce the risk of being mistaken as a threat.
As the conflict continues to unfold, the safety of global shipping lanes and the stability of oil markets hinge on developments far beyond the shores of the Persian Gulf, underscoring the far-reaching impact of regional hostilities on international trade and energy security.